Hello everyone, this is your educator Priyanka Thakur. I'm teaching you life sciences and welcome you all on our YouTube channel Guru Mantra Shiksha Ka Granth. Today in this video, we will be knowing about phosphorylation, photophosphorylation, and I will be covering both cyclic and non-cyclic phosphorylation. We will study more diagrammatically rather than theoretically. Please do watch the lecture and complete your lecture. If you do not understand any of the thing, then please comment in the comment section. But please continue it. I'm sure you're gonna understand everything that I'm gonna teach you today. Okay. So let's start. First of all, we'll come to know how many stages are there in photosynthesis. There are two stages in photosynthesis. One is your light dependent reactions, other is your light independent reactions. Light independent reactions, also known as Calvin cycle. What happens during light dependent reaction? During light dependent reactions, chlorophyll molecule absorb the energy from sunlight. It absorb the solar energy and convert that into stored chemical energy, mainly in the form of electron carrier molecules, nicotine, amide, adenine, dinucleotide phosphate, and adenosine triphosphate. Light dependent reactions. This takes place in the thylakoid membrane. In the chloroplast, we have granum. Granum are made up of stacks of thylakoid, and in thylakoid membrane, there is the occurrence of light dependent reactions. Light dependent reaction includes non-cyclic and cyclic photophosphorylation. What? Non-cyclic and cyclic photophosphorylation. Is it clear? Okay. Fine. Next is light independent reactions or Calvin cycle. So why we call light independent reactions as light independent? Because they do not require any light. Okay. But they use the energy which is synthesized during the light dependent reactions. Light independent reactions are going to use that energy for the synthesis of carbohydrates from carbon dioxide molecules. Why light independent reactions are called Calvin cycle? Because they are cyclic in nature, and very first Melvin Calvin described these reactions, light independent reaction, and hence these are called Calvin cycle also. Although we know that light independent reaction, they do not use light as a reactant, they are not going to use light, but they do require the products of light dependent reactions. Okay, to do their function, they require energy, and that energy will be provided to dark reactions from the products of by the products of light dependent reactions. Okay, so they will get the energy that is carried by the ATP and NADP, so that there is a drive for the construction of new carbohydrate molecules. After energy is transferred, these carrying molecules ATP and NADPH, they went back to the light dependent reactions to obtain more energized electrons. Okay, so let's talk about our non-cyclic phosphorylation and cyclic phosphorylation. See, what happens during cyclic and non-cyclic phosphorylation? We'll come to know about it. Fine. So, one more thing I want to tell you that in this particular diagram, there are some names which are missing. In the next, I'll be showing you all the names. So, do not get confused with anything. Keep listening to each and every of my word very carefully so that you can understand everything very well. Okay. So let's start with our non-cyclic phosphorylation. What exactly happened during non-cyclic phosphorylation? Okay. So in this there is a light induced electron transport. Okay. There is a light induced electron transport. Let me use a pointer here. Okay. There is a light induced electron transport from water to NADP positive. Okay, from water to NADP positive, there will be a transport of electron, but it will be light induced. Along with that, there will be a release of oxygen molecule, and it requires the collaboration of both photosystem 2 as well as photosystem 1. Electrons move from water to photosystem 2, then to photosystem 1, and then finally to NADP positive. Okay, and this electron transport will lead to the generation of a proton motive force as well, and this proton motive force will result in the synthesis of ATP with the help of ATP synthase complex. So that's why it is called as non-cyclic for photophosphorylation. Why? Because there is formation of ATP due to light-induced non-cyclic electron flow, and hence it is called as non-cyclic photophosphorylation. Fine. You will see a diagram that will be representing the Z scheme. What that diagram will represent? A Z scheme. I will show you that diagram in the later section. Okay. So, non-cyclic electron flow, it begins with the absorption of photons by photosystem 2. Okay. Photosystem 2 will be absorbing photons. It will, it will absorb 2 photons for 1 electron. So it is going for there will be production of 4 electrons. So 8 photons will be absorbed by photosystem 2. Okay, then photosystem 2 absorb the electron. Photosystem 2 is having a reaction center P80. It will be absorbing the photons and it get excited. After it get excited, it will donate its electrons to pheophytin, which ultimately will give its electrons to the plastoquinone. Okay, P680 is the reaction center that will transfer its electrons to pheophytin. Pheophytin is a chlorophyll, but it is not having magnesium ion. Instead, pheophytin has 2 protons at the center where magnesium ion was present in chlorophyll. Pheophytin has 2 protons instead of magnesium ions. Okay, so P680 will be transferring, P680 in its excited state will be transferring electrons to pheophytin. Pheophytin will transfer to plastoquinone A, and plastoquinone A will transfer the electrons to plastoquinone B. Okay, fine. Okay, now this after transferring 2 electrons, this P680, okay, it now needs more electrons. So to obtain more electrons and get back to its original state, P680, after releasing an electron, after transfer of electrons, it becomes P680 plus. So to regain its original position, it requires what? It requires more electron. That electron it gets from the water molecule. And how it will get the electrons from water molecule? There will be the presence of an oxygen evolving complex. This oxygen evolving complex consists of manganese ion, 4 manganese ion. Okay, there will be 4 manganese along with calcium ions, chloride ions and bicarbonates ion. Manganese ion, calcium ions, bicarbonates ion, chloride ion, and also manganese stabilizing proteins will be there. Okay, but the function of all other ions is not clear. Manganese is mainly involved in the photolysis of water. Electrons, 4 electrons, 4 manganese will be transferring the electrons. Okay, but manganese undergo 5 cycles. Manganese is most stable in S0 form. Okay, it is in S0 form. It is most stable. When it loses, when this manganese loses the electrons, okay, the oxygen evolving complex become unstable and it reaches to S4. In S0 it is most stable. In S4 form it is most unstable, and now it want to regain its stability, and in order to regain its stability, manganese will cause the photolysis of water. Photolysis of water, one water molecule will result in the formation of 2 proton, 2 electron. So there will be the requirement of 2 water molecule for the or for obtaining 4 electrons. So manganese complex, overall this oxygen evolving complex will be responsible for the photolysis of water, and after the photolysis of 2 water molecule, there will be release of 4 protons, 4 electrons, and 1 molecule of oxygen. This molecule of oxygen, where it is released where you can see, tell me, in inner thylakoid space. You can see it is released in inner thylakoid space. Fine. Okay, after the oxygen evolving complex, it transfer electrons to P680, but it does not send electrons. Manganese in the oxygen evolving complex does not send electrons directly to P680. First, electrons move to D1 protein. It is having tyrosine residue. Tyrosine residue will be acting as it is a radical for okay, formed by the tyrosine YZ. We represent that radical by YZ. It is formed by tyrosine residue of the T1 protein in the S2 reaction center, which will first receive the electron, then it will give the electron to the P680. Okay, so now you come to know how P680 gain electrons. Then the electrons will move to the pheophytin, and pheophytin transfer its electron to the plastoquinone B. There are two forms of plastoquinone. One is plastoquinone A and other is plastoquinone B. Primary form is actually plastoquinone A, which is bound to D2 protein, but plastoquinone B is the another form, secondary form, which is bound to D1 protein. Okay. After this, plastoquinone A can be reduced to only plastosemiquinone, but plastoquinone B can be fully reduced to plastoquinol. Okay, it receives 2 electrons. Along with that, it will receive 2 proton as well. After this, plastoquinol will bind to the cytochrome B6F complex. Cytochrome B6F complex. Cytochrome B6F complex consists of a risky iron sulfur protein, 2 cytochrome B, and 1 cytochrome F. What does it contain? It contains 1 risky iron sulfur protein, 2 cytochrome B, and 1 cytochrome F. So this plastoquinol, it binds to cytochrome B6F, and now this plastoquinol B is reduced, which is in reduced form, is now oxidized in the cytochrome B6F complex. Okay, fine. After the reduction, once this cytochrome B6F oxidize this plastoquinone, okay, it will results in the release of proton. Okay, when plastoquinol is oxidized, there is release of 2 protons. How many? 2 protons for every 1 electron. This plastoquinone can consist of 2 electrons, but it transfer its electrons one by one to the cytochrome B6F. Okay, for 1 electron, there will be the release of 2 protons in toward the luminal side, and for 2 electrons, there will be the release of 4 protons toward luminal side. Okay, so along with electron transfer, there is also proton translocation from stroma to luminal. For 2 electrons, there will be the translocation of 4 protons. For 1 electron, there is the translocation of only 2 protons, but for 2 electrons, there will be 4 proton translocation, and for total 4 electrons, there will be the translocation of 8 protons. Okay, we got to know there will be a Q cycle working here, and then cytochrome F will transfer the electrons to the plastocyanine, which is a water-soluble molecule present inside toward the stroma. Okay, whatever molecules are present in the membrane, these are water soluble, because we know that it is the hydrophobic region, and whatever molecules are present toward the stroma or outside the membrane are water soluble. Okay, this is lumen, not stroma. This is lumen. Plastocyanin is present toward lumen. So toward stroma and toward lumen, whatever molecules are present, these are hydrophilic, and in membrane hydrophobic molecules are there. Now this plastocyanin. Plastocyanin is a water-soluble protein. It will now transfer its electron to the photosystem 1. Photosystem 1 will be transferring the electrons first to A0 protein, which is a modified chlorophyll, then to A1, which is a phyloquinone. Then phyloquinone will transfer the electrons to the ferredoxin. Ferredoxin consists of iron sulfur. It is an iron sulfur protein. Then this FNR we call it, okay, ferredoxin NADP reductase. It catalyzes the transfer of electrons from ferredoxin to NAD positive. For the production of one NADP DPH, there is the requirement of 2 electrons and protons. Fine. We will have total of 4 electrons. 2 molecules of water, when get splitted, they result in the formation of 4 electrons. So 4 electrons will result in the formation of 2 NADPH. Okay. Is it clear? Everything is clear to you now or not? Okay, let's start it again. We will go through each and everything again. Okay, this is the photosystem 2. Photosystem 2 will be getting the light energy. For 1 electron, there will be 2 photons requirement. Okay, for 1 electron, there is the requirement of 2 photons. Clear or not? Clear, ma'am? Okay, fine. Now see. Light energy will be absorbed by antenna molecule, and further it will be transferred to the reaction center. Reaction center will be excited, and after excitation it will transfer its electrons to the pheophytin. Pheophytin will transfer its electron ultimately to the plastocunone. Plastocunone can accept 2 electrons, and after this transfer, P680 become P680 positive, and now it requires electron, which it will get from the oxidation oxygen evolving complex, okay, which will be splitting the water molecule and resulting in the release of 4 electrons and 4 protons per 2 water molecule. Fine. Then P680 will get its electrons, and ultimately it give its electrons to the pheophytin. That pheophytin will transfer the electron to plastocunone A and then to B. Plastocunone A can be reduced only to plastosemiquinone, and plastocunone B can be completely reduced to plastoquinone. This plastoquinone then bind to the cytochrome B6F complex, which results in the oxidation of plastoquinone B. Okay, plastoquinone it now get converted again into the plastoquinone B. Plastoquinone is now converted into the plastoquinone. Fine. Then for 2 electrons, there is the release of 4 protons toward the luminal side. From stroma, there is release of 4 protons toward luminal side for every 2 electrons. And then the electrons are transferred to plastocyanin. Plastocyanin is actually present toward the luminal side. It is a water-soluble protein. This plastocyanin then transfer the electrons to P700. P700 will only accept the electrons from plastocyanin only in the case if P700 is not having its own electron, if it is not getting excited by the energy. Okay, but plastocyanin will transfer its electron to the P700. Remember one thing, that QB, okay, this Q cycle can be inhibited by a DCMU. What exactly is DCMU? DCMU is dichlorophenyl dimethylurea, also known as diuron. This Q cycle can be inhibited by a DCMU, also known as dichlorophenyl dimethylurea or diuron, which is a herbicide, and it can abolish the photosynthetic oxygen production because it competes with the plastoquinone QB binding site of photosystem 2. Okay. It can inhibit the overall process by competitive inhibition. Clear? Fine. After plastocyanin transfer its electron to P700, P700 will transfer, two electrons will be transferring, okay, one by one, okay, then two other will come. P700 will transfer its electron to chlorophyll A, modified chlorophyll A, then to phylloquinone, which is A1, and then from phylloquinone, electron moves to ferredoxin, which is the iron sulfur protein. From iron sulfur protein, ferredoxin, there come the ferredoxin NADP reductase. This ferredoxin NADP reductase will be now aiding the transfer of electrons from ferredoxin to NAD positive, and there is the formation of NADPH. Okay, and for 2 electrons there is formation of 1 NADPH. For 4 electrons there will be the for total 4 electrons there will be the formation of 2 NADPH. Okay, so this is your Q cycle which is taking place. These are the diagrams from Pathfinder. Very clearly I am telling you, these are the diagrams. Further diagram you will see are from Pathfinders. Okay, fine. So this is the stromal side, this is the lumen side. Photosystem 2, one will be working in the membrane, thylakoid membrane. Okay, so one water molecule, there is a release of 2 electrons and 2 protons. For 2 water molecule, there is release of 4 electrons and 4 protons, and a complete oxygen molecule is evolved. And then for photosystem 2 get the electrons, it transfer the electrons respect to pheophytin and to QA and QB, I mean plastoquinone A and plastoquinone B, and then to then plastoquinone B get completely reduced to plastoquinol, and plastoquinol get attached to the cytochrome B6F. This plastoquinol is again converted into the plastoquinone. This is what we call a Q cycle here, and cytochrome B6F. During the oxidation of plastoquinol, there is the release of 2 protons for 1 electron. So ultimately there will be the release of 8 protons for 4 electrons. Cytochrome B6F complex then transfer the electrons to the plastocyanin. Okay, so this is here. Okay, after cytochrome B6 send plastocyanin. Okay, plastocyanin will send to P700. So you can see the reaction here. P700 P2 PS2 photosystem 2, light will be required, 8 photons will be absorbed. Okay, for the release of 1 electrons, there is requirement of 8 photons. For the evolution of 1 oxygen molecule, actually we need 8 photons. So we conclude that 2 photons are required for the release of 1 electron. Okay, so O2 molecules will result in the formation of 4 protons, 4 electrons, and a molecule of oxygen. And then electrons will be passed to the photosystem 1 again, and there will be the requirement of 4 protons and 2 NADP positive, fine, which will result in the formation of 2 NADPH. This is the overall reaction. Now you see this in this thylakoid membrane, and what is the function of this cytochrome synthase, CF0C1 complex. We know that water molecule will be splitted, there will be the formation of oxygen along with 4 protons which will be released toward the luminal side. Okay, fine. And with Q cycle, for 4 electron, there is the release of 8 protons. Fine. This overall process, you know about it. Okay, you know about it, this whole process. So for 4, there is total of 12 protons. How many? 12 protons are there in the lumen now. How many protons are there in the lumen? 12 protons are there in lumen. In some books, you read that there is the formation of 2 protons, 2 ATP and 2 NADPH during the cyclic phosphorylation, non-cyclic phosphorylation. In some you read 3, and in some you also read 4. So more appropriately, I would like to say there is the formation of 3 ATP. Total 12 ATP are formed here. 1 ATP will be is generally used for holding, 1 hydrogen is generally used for holding the phosphate. Ultimately 3 ATP are formed. Okay, here there will be the formation of approximately 3 ATP. ATP will bind with the PI, and there is a formation of 3 ATP approximately. Here there is a formation of 2 NADPH. Clear? Fine. And this is your FNR, which is present in the membrane, thylakoid membrane. Cytochrome B6F complex, plastocyanin present over the luminal side, water-soluble protein. Photosystem 1 will only receive the electrons from photocyanin when it is not receiving its own electron, when it is not having its own electron. Photons will also be received by photosystem 1 as well. Clear? Everything is clear to you now about cyclic phosphorylation. Now what happened during about non-cyclic phosphorylation? Now what happened during cyclic phosphorylation? During cyclic phosphorylation, FNR doesn't work. There is no production of NADPH. Ferredoxin now give its transfer its electron to the cytochrome B6F complex. Okay, and again there is a Q cycle. B6F complex will again transfer the electron to the plastocyanin, and plastocyanin then to photosystem 1. Let's check it out here. This is the photosystem 1. It will get excited, okay, transfer its electron to ultimately to ferredoxin, but ferredoxin now will not transfer its electron to NADP positive, rather it will transfer its electron to cytochrome B6, okay, B6F complex. Now there will be the formation of 2 ATPs. There will be the formation of 2 ATPs during cyclic formation. More energy is produced during the non-cyclic phosphorylation, and less energy is formed during cyclic phosphorylation. Still, you read it in many books that cyclic phosphorylation is more efficient, okay, it is more productive as compared to non-cyclic phosphorylation. Why it is so? This is because it requires less photon and it produces more as compared to the number of photon, it produces more energy. While the cyclic non-cyclic phosphorylation, it uses more photon as compared to the energy produced by it. This is why we call that the cyclic phosphorylation is more productive, not because it is forming more number of energy. Okay, fine. So what exactly is cyclic phosphorylation? There will be the formation of ATP due to the light-induced cyclic electron flowing. It is called cyclic phosphorylation. ATP will be produced by light-induced cyclic electron flow. Clear? Is there any evolution of oxygen? No. Photolysis of water? No. Oxygen evolution complex? No. Formation of NADPH? No. Okay. There is synthesis of only ATP. This is all about cyclic and non-cyclic phosphorylation. I also told you the function of DCMU. Everything is clear to you now. If you are having any problem, you can tell me in the comment section. That is all for today. Okay, now you can do whatever you want to. If you want to join our Telegram, do join our Telegram. Check out the description box and keep supporting us. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.